first started writing A Matter of Principle at the tail end of 2009 in December. I had an idea to do a monologue. Originally I was going to play the character myself. I'm a big fan of monologues, especially radio monologues, Alan Bennett. And so I had this idea to do a character. So I started going about developing voices, because that's where I always start with characters. I recorded a few voices using my dictaphone, as I always do with any character I've created. And I came up with this sort of oldish sort of northern man. And I thought this could be quite interesting. And I think the line was, Clive, you're not needed. I said, I know I'm not needed. I don't want to be here anyway. I think that was the line. I just recorded that in the voice. The first thing I recorded, and I thought, now that's interesting because that could be someone who's quite stubborn, who doesn't like to take orders from anyone. Not dissimilar from myself, really. So I thought that's quite an interesting character to develop. I had an idea to make him an older man, and I thought it'd be more interesting because he'd be more stubborn. The older he is, the more stubborn he is. And if he's set in his ways, he has a routine that he's been doing for 10, 15 years, then it'd be interesting if someone came in to ruin that routine. And also it sets the plot in motion. So the idea of Mr. Wexford coming in and to take Clive from his normal routine into something completely different, which Clive doesn't like, really develops the character, because the character can then have all his monologues about Mr. Wexford. So he becomes more and more involved and more obsessed, really, with Mr. Wexford. And that's interesting for the story, because you do start off feeling very sorry for Clive, because he's a lonely old man, he's a gardener, and that was an interesting idea of someone who works by themselves, very solitary. And I thought the idea of a gardener would be very interesting, especially on radio. That'd be quite interesting in terms of the sound effects and what you can do there. And so the idea of him being a gardener, and then his routine being disturbed by this boss who comes in, the officious Mr. Wexford, was one I definitely wanted to go down. So that was the plot, and that's how I came up with that. And really, that is A Matter of Principle. My plans for A Matter of Principle are to develop several cross-platform scripts. I want to do a radio version. I want to do a TV adaptation. I want to do a stage adaptation. And I also want to do an audiobook. So there's 4 different mediums there, 4 different genres to explore with one idea and one plot. Originally I wrote it as a radio monologue. So an actor coming in to play Clive, which is still an idea I'm definitely going to do, and I've been talking to a few actors and a few producers, so I might go down that avenue of making a radio version, but that'll be later in the year now. I'm recording this in April, so I would say September, August, around there, that might be in development, in production. So the idea is to do a radio version, get an actor in, have the sound effects, have the soundtrack, and I'm going to direct that with Low Mike Productions, my audio company, producing it, and have a radio play, really, half an hour, 45-minute radio play, with an actor playing the parts. Also, I would like to do a film version in the style of Alan Bennett's Talking Heads, so all set at one place in the park, several different locations in the park, but it's all mainly just Clive to camera talking head. So that would be an interesting idea to go down. But that again, that would be after a radio version, so it would be a bit of a time yet till I work on that. Also, it will work really well on stage. I'd like to expand it a bit more on stage, and I've got more ideas for it. But I would love to do a stage production because it would be very easy and very cheap to make. You could literally just have a park bench or a chair and Clive and the stage, and that's it. And I hope it will engage. I think it's engaging myself. As a big audiobook fan and a big radio fan, I think the story maintains itself throughout the piece. I don't think it sort of dips myself, but it all comes down to opinion, really, isn't it? And the version I'm working on now, which is the last version to come in, but the version I'm working on first, is an audiobook. Now, the idea was to turn A Matter of Principle, the complete script that I've written, into a short novel. Because the way it was written by myself was quite descriptive, very descriptive at times, and it was quite novelly, even though it was a script. So I always thought it could be an idea of actually taking this into a short story novel. So what I did is I started adapting the script into a novel. I'm quite far into it at the moment. And what the plan is to adapt the whole thing into a novel, then record an audiobook version read by myself. I would also play Clive and I would read the story and see how that goes and release that. I plan it to be about an hour long, because that's how it's panning out at the moment. But I'm still writing it, I'm still adapting it. But yeah, so I'm going to release an audiobook and see what the public think. And it's also a good way of taking it to an actor and saying, look, I've recorded this, here's the script, here's an audiobook version. Do you want to play Clive in the radio version? So it's the plan I have really is to record the audiobook version in the next couple of months. I've recorded chapter 1 already, and a lot of it's been adapted already, but I'm really looking forward to doing the audiobook.